प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्याम वेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि हरि। So today we are reading Canto 2, Chapter 10 and verse number 48. Chapter 10 is entitled very nicely, Srila Prabhupada gave Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions, so it can answer any and all questions. This whole chapter, is very nice about the creation and destruction of this material world, and so it has given so many different things actually. So I will read the shloka 3 times. Shaunaka uvacha yad ahano bhavan sutta kshatta bhagava tottama chachara tirthani bhuvas tyaktva bandhuna sudastya jahan. Shaunaka uvacha yadahano bhavan sutta kshatta bhagavatottamaha chachara tirthani bhuvas त्यक्त्वा बन्धूना सुदस्तजान्. शौनक उवाच यदाह नो भवान् सुत क्षत्ता भागवतोत्तमः चचार तीर्थानि भुवस् त्यक्त्वा बन्धूना सुदस्तजान्. Please recite.
शौनक उवाच यदह न भवान् सुत क्षत्ता भागवतोत्तमा चचार तीर्थानि भुवास् त्यक्त्वा बन्धून् सुदुष्ट्यजान्. हरे कृष्ण प्रभु.
हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. शौनका उवाच यः नो भवन् सूत क्षत्ता भगवत उत्तमः चचारा तीर्थानि भूयाश् तत्तो भा बन्धून् सुदुस्तयन्. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. शौनक उवाच यद् आहनो भवान् सूत क्षत्ता भगवतोत्तमः चचार तीर्थानि भूयास् त्यक्त्वा बन्धून् सुदुस्त्यजान्. हरे कृष्ण.
Anyone else want to recite?
Yad aha no bhavan sutta kshatta bhagavotatma chachara tirthani bhuvas tyaktva bandhun sudustyajan.
All right, so we will read word to word translation. Saunaka uvacha, Shri Saunaka Muni said, Yat is, ah, you said, nah, unto us, Bhavan, your good self, Suta, O Suta, Kshatva, Vidura, Bhagavatottamaha, one of the topmost devotee of the Lord, Chachara, practiced Tirthani places of pilgrimage, Bhuvam, Bhuvaha, on the earth, Tyaktva, leaving aside, Bandhuna, all relatives, Sudustajan, very difficult to give up. Translation: Saunak Rishi, after hearing all about the creation, inquired from Sud Goswami about Vidura. For Sud Goswami had previously informed him how Vidura left home, leaving aside all his relatives who were very difficult to live. So purport is very short here. Purport: the rishis headed by Saunaka were more anxious to know about Vidura, who met Maitreya Rishi while traveling to pilgrimage site of the world. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshirunvitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Desh Tarine. So the purport is very short, but this really gives very important message, that, and this is actually giving the starting, of how the next chapter is starting, with Vidura. So the inquiry is here already, because the Saunak Rishi was asking the questions to Suta Goswami in Naimisharanya forest, where there were 8,000 the disciples, the devotees there, saints or sages. And the same katha was spoken by to the Parikshit Maharaj. So this thing is going on. So again, Bhagavatam is repeating several times, So here, Saunak Rishi is asking, after he heard in this whole chapter, about the creation and destructions and everything we heard, and we discussed it in detail. Now he's inquiring that how we actually, who was Vidur, and how he, because Suta Goswami explained in the first canto, in 13th chapter, in the beginning, on the first verse, that how Vidur actually left the palace because he was insulted badly by Duryodhan. And then how he went to the pilgrimage. And so he told these things before in the 13th chapter of first canto. So now there was more of the desire by all the sages, which and Saunak Rishi was the leader of all the sages, he was asking questions on behalf of all the sages. So to the Suta Goswami. So Saunak Rishi asked, that we want to hear about Vidurji and how he met Maitreya Muni, and where discussion, what was the discussion between them. So samvad between the Maitreya and Vidurji. So that's what they wanted to ask, because actually in this, at the end of this, this is the chapter is being end now. Second canto is being finishing now, and third canto is starting. So in one or two shlokas, what actually Suta Goswami wanted to tell start about the Varaha avatar actually, and he said Padma Kalpa, because Varahadev took his appearance from the nose of Brahmaji, and Brahmaji came from the lotus stem and lotus flower. So that's why the lotus is also called a Padma. So that's why he wanted to start that katha, but they didn't wanted to hear. They wanted to hear the nice conversation between Vidurji, because this was directly about the Krishna himself, not his incarnations. And this is much more pleasing to them. That's why they inquired like that please tell us about Vidurji. So his purport is very small. I'm going to read the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So being eager to hear other topics, the proposed topic of Padma Kalpa gets delayed by the question of Shaunaka Rishi. So Saunak Rishi is telling Suta Goswami that you have told us in the previous canto 113.1, and Shlok says Suta Uvacha Viduras Tirtha Yatra Yam Metre Yadatmano Gatim Gyatva Gat Drashtin Puram Taya Vapya Vivitsitaha. So he's saying that having learned about Krishna, which is hearing about Krishna, is the goal of all the Jiva souls. So that should be always remember that what is our goal actually. Goal is to hear more and more Krishna, meditate more and more Krishna. So Maitreya Muni and they were hearing, that Maitreya Muni, while on pilgrimage, Vidur came to Hastinapur with desire to teach that. So actually Vidurji went out first and then he came again. to take Dhritarashtra with him, because to teach the Dhritarashtra, what he learned from Maitreya Muni. That's why he came actually, He didn't want it to return back because of his own thing, okay, I will live in the palace comfortably. This was not his aim actually. His aim was to teach his brother, so his brother can be, because he was well-wisher of all the Jiva souls, even though the Dhritarashtra didn't help him, when Duryodhan actually insulted him. He was the king. He could have said, Duryodhan, shut up, you should not say this thing to your uncle. He didn't say anything. So he was blinded by the love of his son, and that's why he could not say any word, but still he is well-wisher, so he returned back and give the knowledge that you are actually not doing anything good here, you should go out of the palace, and do some meditation on the Supreme Lord. He wanted to, that's why the main purpose of his return. So here we say Kshatta. Kshatta means Vidurji, and Kaushra Veha, that means Maitreya. So Sonak Rishi is saying, Yad ahano bhavan suta chatta bhagavata uttamaha. Bhagavata uttamaha means the best among the devotees, Bhagavat uttamaha. And Kshatta means Vidurji. And after that he is saying, Chachara tirthani bhuvas tyaktva bandhuna sudasta jan. So actually it's very hard to give up the family. We know how the family life is, in this material world. Family life is so attracting, we all the time, what will happen to my family if you want to go out, on tirtha or anything, we all the time remember the family, it's always back of our mind. So how we can meditate on Krishna, that's what we have to practice that all our lives. Then only we can concentrate on the Lord, because this is the binding knot in this material world, that it's very hard to get out. But once we are determined, then with the knife of bhakti, we can really pierce it, cut it in the small pieces, that knot which is binding to the family and all our responsibility, and to money and house and property and all those bank balances, and so many different things, which are different knots of this material world, and that can be really cut into pieces by the meditating on the Lord, hearing about the Lord. So these things are very important. So Saunak Rishi is telling to Sud Goswami, you have told us that Vidura, the best of the devotees, went on the pilgrimage around the world, giving up his friends who are difficult to give up. Giving up the friends and family members, it's very hard. Where did the discussion of the soul takes place between Vidura? So he was asking that which place, Vidura and Maitreya met actually, and the knowledge which Maitreya implored to Vidura. He explained the highest truth of the life. So he said, please tell us all about that, and what actions Vidura took after hearing these things. So actually, Sud Goswami was trying to describe the Padmakalpa at that time. So, but that subject matter was interrupted because the Saunak Rishi wanted to hear other topic. So that's why. So he wanted to discuss about the place of discussion, and so Vidurji asked different questions, what subject matter was discussed and all those things. So mainly he asked 2 questions, and he answered it very nicely. So we can see in this chapter, in last few shlokas, we are reading about the appreciation of the devotees. So devotee actually all the time appreciate the Supreme Lord as his role as creator. We are reading about Sarga and Visarga. So both are very important, Sarga and Visarga, because Sarga is the main ingredient Lord Krishna provides, for Brahmaji to make the secondary creation. So all the ingredients are made by, so that's why Lord Krishna in the form of Vishnu, known as the primary creator, and secondary creator is Brahmaji. That is, so whereas the greatest devotee appreciate him not just as the creator, but one who enjoys. So Lord is not just the creator. He creates some things, but he is behind the scene, he doesn't directly participate in anything, creation or destruction or anything. It is carried out by his energies, not Krishna himself directly. He doesn't do anything directly like that in this activity, creation, maintenance, and destruction. These all are performed by the different energies of the Lord. But we read this thing in the Vedic Puran, Vedic literature, that Krishna has directly interference in these activities. So this why this thing is described in Vedas, because otherwise people will think that Lord is not in charge, the material nature is in charge. So people will have like this kind of wrong idea that material nature does everything, and Lord has no interference in that, his role is not there, it's not written. That's why Vedas writes like that, but that's not the truth. So we can see the Sarga, which is the primary creation, is actually happens when the stem, the Kamal stem, lotus stem starting, like at the beginning of the Brahmaji's life. But then the Brahmaji's days start, at that time Brahmaji starts secondary creation. So Visarga starts at the beginning of the Brahmaji's day. So in the last shloka 47 we read yesterday that I will describe later about the measurements of the time, that how the time is measured actually. Now here about the Padmakalpa. So that's what he was going to start. But in this shloka, today's shloka, we are reading that whole thing was changed, whole topic was changed to Vidur Maitreya conversation. So what we will do, we will see, who was Vidura, who was Maitreya, who was Uddhav, and so we will discuss these things a little bit, because we are going to read about next whole chapter about Vidurji and Maitreya. So who was Maitreya actually? So what happens? That Pandavas return back from their exile, because after they lost in the game with Duryodhan and Sakuni and Karna, they were sent to forest for 12 years and worked after the last 1 year, 13th year in the incognito. So they have to hide it, nobody can know where they are. So they, after all these years finished, then at that time Dhritarashtra still had intention to give his kingdom back to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and that's why he invited Vidur for the consultation, that Vidurji, come here and let us discuss what we should do now, because those 13 years the Pandavas were banished. So now they are coming back. So let us discuss, what we can do. So at that time, Vidurji told Dhritarashtra that you should return their rightful kingdom. Them, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is the son of Pandu, who was the king here, He went to the forest, and that's why he got a curse. That's why he gave the kingdom to you. But now Yudhishthira Maharaj is grown up. You should return the kingdom to its proper owner. But otherwise, and we can see, Yudhishthira Maharaj has so much difficulties in his life, because these Kauravas were giving them very, very hard, difficult time, So, but Yudhishthira Maharaj was not thinking them as troubles, He was thinking as Krishna's mercy, and he was happily taking them, because he was very great soul, So, and also Vidurji told him that you are listening to your son, maintaining your son. who is offense personified. So, and because of that, he's taking everything away, like in like adharma. He's the personified adharma actually. So that's why you are not receiving any auspiciousness in your life. And that's very bad for entire family, and family will suffer. So actually, we can see how he was, Vidurji was very honest in opinion. He was not scared that what will happen. But when he was telling these things to Dhritarashtra, at that time Duryodhan was also hiding there in the palace, and he was hearing these things. And along with him, there were his brothers, Dushasana and other brothers, Uncle Shakuni and Karn. They all heard these things. And he was so angry. And Duryodhan, actually, his lips were quivering. And he replied that this son of maid servant, why he came here, who is so crooked. And he actually spies on us, who are feeding him actually. He's growing on our breads, and now he's barking against us. So that's very bad. Throw him out right away. So that's what he orders. So Vidurji thought, that this is actually Krishna's mercy on me. He never thought anything bad because he was great soul. So he never thought anything bad about Duryodhan. He thought that this is Krishna's wish and I should go on pilgrimage when I will get chance and how long I can stay in the palace, like that. So he said I should live my comfortable life and go to the pilgrimage, learn about Lord Krishna more and more, hear about him more and more, and this should be aim of all the Jiva souls actually, So he left the palace right away. He kept his Dhanush Ban, a bow and arrow, at the door of the palace, and he just left. And he was not at all sorry that because of Duryodhana I'm leaving, He had no bad thoughts about Duryodhana. Actually, he said that actually he was thanking Duryodhana that he gave me this chance to go on pilgrimage and meditate on the Lord. So he was thanking him rather than. So this is the characteristic of the great souls, how they do. So Vidurji actually traveled many different places, including Ayodhya, Dwarika, and Mathura. And he was a minister in the kingdom, but he was dressed as a mendicant. And he was not caring about his body at all. Sometimes he gets something, he will eat, otherwise he will not eat, some things like that. So, and he wanted that he should not be recognized by any of his friends or relatives. That's why he was completely in different dress and always beard and everything, so nobody can recognize. So when he was traveling, he went to Prabhas Kshetra. And Prabhas Kshetra, Lord Krishna left his body, and he before going to his spiritual world. So actually Krishna's body is not different. His whole body is Satchidananda. And he has not material body like us. We have, he goes with his body, he doesn't leave his body here, he goes with his body. So he left, and then there was all the fight between the Yadus because Krishna wanted all his relatives to come back and there should be some reason. Then so he just, the whole Yadus were cursed by the sages, that, and they were fighting against each other. All the brothers were fighting among themselves and dying, so all the Yadus were finishing actually. So whole dynasty was annihilating at that time. So Vidurji was thinking that all the Yadus are going, he was very sorry, and then he went more towards Dwarika, to westwards after Prabhakshetra, and he traveled to different kingdoms and came to Rajasthan and came to bank of Jamuna. And at the bank of Jamuna, he met Uddhavji there. So Uddhavji was actually very pure soul. He was companion of Lord Krishna. They traveled, and at the time when Krishna was leaving this body, he was there. And Maitreya Muni also came later on, and Maitreya Muni also was there. So Uddhavji was actually Krishna's cousin, and he looked like Krishna. That's why Krishna sent him to the and to send him to Braja, Vrindavan to pacify the gopis. And Uddhavji was very, very dedicated person, very devoted, great devotee. So, and Maitreya Muni actually came later, heard about Krishna, actually keep talking to Uddhavji, that's why there is Uddhav Gita, what the samvad between Uddhavji and Krishna at that time, from Prabhakshetra. So that thing is described as Uddhav Gita. So Vidurji actually was hearing Uddhavji and asking him questions. But Uddhavji was very young in age than Vidurji. So Uddhav never thought that I should preach him or answer his questions. So he, as a matter of etiquette, proper etiquette, he said that I will refer you to Maitreya Muni, who is around here. So you go to Maitreya Muni and learn from him. So this is the etiquette, that a younger disciple should not try to teach and answer the questions for the senior disciples. So he was keeping that thing in mind. That's what he sent to Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni was much senior and older in age than Vidurji. So he sent, and Maitreya Muni was also good devotee, but he was Jnana Mishra Bhakta. So he had lot of knowledge, but his bhakti was covered by the jnana. So anyway, so then he was traveling along shore of Yamuna, and then he ultimately reached in Haridwar, and that he met in Haridwar. He meets Maitreya Muni and he asks all the questions. So they took all the question answer happened at the Haridwar. So when Uddhavji was listening the inquiries of Vidurji Uddhavji actually became so much in the remembrance, completely absorbed in the remembrance of Lord Krishna. Because Krishna just left, so he was thinking about separation, how he will live without Krishna. Because actually Uddhavji was a great devotee of Krishna. Even when he was 5 years old, he was so much absorbed in when he was playing with the doll of Krishna at age 5, he was so absorbed in thinking about Krishna Leelas, all the activities of Krishna, that his mother was calling him for breakfast and he will not even listen, He was completely absorbed at the breakfast time, And his tears were not stopping when he thought about Krishna. Continuous tears were coming to Buddha's eye. So we can imagine, how great Bhakta he was. So from his very birth, he was great devotee. So after a few moments, when Vidurji was talking to Uddhava, then he tried to control his emotions, and then he sent him to Maitreya Muni actually. Then Uddhavji told him at that time that I'm feeling very sorry for the members of Yadu dynasty because they all are fighting among themselves and they are going one by one, And Uddhavji also told that all the demigods were present in the Maharaj Yudhishthir's Rajsu Yagya. And when all the demigods saw the bodily features of Krishna and his beauty, they became very much appreciative of Krishna, that how beautiful he is, because they heard about Krishna so much, but everybody doesn't get chance to see Krishna personally, but when he saw him there, and also he told, how Krishna was taken from Mathura to Vraja because of Duryodhan's, the Kansas, actually, all the problems he was creating, killing all the good people, Brahmanas and everything. So Uddhavji actually was not bewildered by Krishna's pastime, but he was being more distressed because Krishna was leaving. Separation from Krishna was bothering him more. So we can see the gopis also, how they were feeling the separation from Krishna. And in the separation, actually, you can remember Krishna more. Also Guru more, in the separation rather than when you are with the Guru. So many devotees, we can see Prabhupada's devotees, they can remember Prabhupada more in separation. And many disciples of Prabhupada actually never saw him, or like even at the initiation time, Prabhupada was not there, he was initiated by Prabhupada, of course, but by someone else, So this is and many disciples you can see not even once they met Srila Prabhupada. So, but in separation, actually, one can remember much more to the Krishna. So this thing was going on, and then actually we can see the Samvad of Vidurji and Maitreya starts, and very nice description Srila Prabhupada gives in here. So what we will see now, let me see how much is time. So 8:30. So we will read the main points of today's verse. So in the previous verse, in one of the purport, very attractive purport, so Prabhupada is writing in the purport that this foolish conditioned souls actually in this material world, they think that this temporary world is permanent, they don't think, like we are like children we see, they make the houses with the sand around seashore, but that house, once the gush of water comes, everything is finished. So this material world is like that, but the foolish people, what we do actually, that we make permanent plans in this material world, which is very temporary. We make big enterprises, we make big houses, big empires, big industries, and we think, that this is going on, this will go on forever, big things. And what we use, energy of Lord Krishna, what the ingredients he provided, and still the scientists don't give any credit to Lord, They think that we did all these things. So this is so bad. We use all these resources and valuable energy given by the Lord, and still we do not remember Krishna. So to give hope to this kind of people, they should get some information actually about the Lord, that Lord is giving these ingredients, so at least we should recognize that. But it's very hard for them to learn this. So this temporary creation actually is exhibited and destroyed. That's why in this chapter we read about destruction and creation of this material world again and again. So again, how many times this material world was destructed, and again new world is created, it happened. We do not know. Time immemorial it's going on. And so that's why it's very important for self-realized soul that not engage in the sense of gratification, but we should engage in self-realization, remembering more and more Krishna. So our primary aim, we should always know, even though we live in this material world, but we should all the time remember what is our main goal in the life and how we can use the Lord's energy and his expansions and his functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction. So these are the wonderful features of the Lord. And about the destruction, we read recently, we discussed recently, but I will just go in short, just how the destruction, how many times the destruction comes, So we know that there are 1,000 yoga cycles that makes one day of Brahma. So also known as one kalpa. One kalpa is 1,000 cycles, yoga cycles. So at the end of the Brahma's day, that when there is annihilation takes place, which is known as occasional annihilation, also known as naimatika. And then there is when Brahma's life, which is 1,000 yoga cycles, that finishes, that's known as material annihilation, also known as prakritika. And then we can see in our own life, like I was a little child, born, and then my body changed so many times. Now I'm an old person. So this is constant annihilation. Day by day, we get undergoing transformation. And by the influence of the time, this is known as constant annihilation. And the last annihilation is known as when our soul actually, after many, many millions and millions of birth in this material world, then ultimately, when we cut off by the sword of discrimination and have the knowledge of Lord and realization of the Supreme Lord, then we will know that at that time, when we go to Lord's Vaikuntha Lok or Golok Vrindavan, at that time, that's our final annihilation of this material body and material soul. That's known as Atyantika, or the final annihilation. So that is the completely, when we go to the Lord, never to come back again in this material world. So that's the final annihilation. So four kind of annihilations: occasional, material, constant, and final annihilation. So these are the different annihilations. And in the creation we have learned and read so many chapters in this canto. So I'm not going to go that again. But the main points in this verse today is Sud Goswami was narrating the topics of creation and destruction. But it appears here that the rishis headed by Sonak Rishi in Nameshar in the forest, actually, they were much more inclined to hear about transcendental subject matter, because transcendental subject matter are much more at the higher level than the creation and the destruction and maintenance of this material world, because these are important, of course, but they are like physical phenomenon. They are not as transcendental, not as nectarian as the hearing the pastimes of the Lord or hearing about his devotees. So that's why they ask about the Vidurji and the Maitreya Muni, because when he said in the first canto, 13th chapter, that Vidura Muni left the house and he returned back. So all the rishis had that kind of question, the back of the mind, that we should know why Vidurji returned back again and why he left on the first place the palace. So in this material world, actually, we know there are two kind of people live, Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddha. So Nitya Baddha actually are addicted to the gross body and this material world. And other people, Nitya Siddha, they are very on very higher level, and they are interested more and more about the transcendental knowledge. So these rishis were all like thinking about how we can hear more and more about this transcendental knowledge about the Supreme Lord. So we can see that this Bhagavatam gives a facility to everyone actually about both about this material world and about the transcendentalist, what they should do. So actually, this Bhagavad Puran is great subject, and this is just like we know that this is the ripened fruit. You Nigama Kalpataru. So this is the wisdom compiled by Vyasdev. Actually, when Vyasdev was completely at the matured age, matured in the knowledge actually. And this Bhagavatam is very, very indifferent actually. It's not any different from the Supreme Lord. That's why it is known as Grantha Avatar. This is the avatar of Lord Krishna. And that's why it is glorified as Mahapuran. And this has so many subject matters. We are reading these different subject matter, like in the beginning of this 10th canto, there were the 10 different subject matter of the Bhagavatam is described, and each of these 10 subject matters actually are described in each of the chapters, but each chapter has their own main topic up to discussion, but other things are also described in each chapter. Like when will go to 10th canto will have all 10 subject matters actually. So this is greatness of Bhagavatam. So it reminds us everything, all subject matters in each chapter. So when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, it glorifies the Lord's activities in this material world and in transcendental world. And we can derive actually equal benefit from both. Whether we are in the material world or in transcendental world, we should hear the glories of the Lord and remember Him more and more. So because sometimes, we see the rose and we see how beautiful it is. But the scientists sometimes thinks, Prabhupada all the time gives example, that when the rose is in the garden, it's when we see, from a small bud, it becomes so nice flower with different shape and different color, and how beautiful it looks, So it's not a blind physical phenomena. There is somebody behind his creation of this flower. It doesn't develop like that. Like we can see a big aeroplane. It's not flying automatically, like they say it's an autopilot, but there is pilot there sitting there, and so this all things, needs. So this whole prakriti, of course, Krishna's hand is behind the prakriti. Prakriti is not doing anything itself. It's all because Krishna's hand is there, and that's why prakriti can do all these things. Otherwise, it cannot be done. And also, we should know the description of the creation and annihilation, that how the supreme consciousness actually works because of Krishna. Because Krishna is omnipresent and is present everywhere actually, and that's why everything is taken care by Krishna. But the foolish material people, what they do, they claim. Sometime, we can see how the sadhus, come in the dress of, no, not sadhus, the materialistic people come in the dress of sadhu, and we think, so they mislead the public, that's what going on in the Kali Yuga. Because there are very few real sadhus, actually, real transcendental people, like Maitreya Muni or Vidu or the Uddhavji, very few people like that. But many of them are. So we have to be very careful, whom we listen, whom we should not listen. So these rishis, 88,000 rishis, they were on the very higher platform of the transit. They were all transcendentalists, and they were not materialistic people, and they were always very eager to hear about the glories of the Lord, activities of the Lord, Krishna Lila. And they knew very well that this material life doesn't come from the matter, actually. Our life comes from life. Like we have the book in ISKCON, So, and it was written by the order of Srila Prabhupada, that book by Satput Prabhu. So this book is very important. So life only comes from the life, not from the matter. The scientist can never ever produce any life, They cannot produce any flower or even a small ant, they cannot produce. So where the Atma will come? The soul will not come there, whatever they produce. So In this mortal body, we can see any mortal body, doesn't matter human being or anything, it goes to different changes actually. So normally each body takes six different phases: birth, growth, maintenance, then it produces byproducts, children's, dwindling, and the death. And so within this material life, these all six changes will automatically come, life after life, life after life, until unless we go to the spiritual world where these six phases doesn't take place. And so there is no changes. That's why everybody is young in the Golok Vrindavan and Vishnu Lok, they all the time young, they never get old age. We can see even Krishna comes from spiritual world in this Bhum Vrindavan, but he was 125-year-old, is still looking like 16-year-old. So the age or time, it doesn't affect in the spiritual world, which is only part of this material world. So how nice it will be, we can imagine in the spiritual world, how beautiful it will be. And this material body, as we all know that this is perishable body, so we should take care of the body, no problem. But we should take care only so much, whatever it needs, not like bodybuilders, all the time thinking about body, drinking protein shakes, all the time and making muscles and all those things, but these are all temporary thing, this body is going to perish anyway. So whatever is needed, we should do, because we need the body to do the devotional service. So we should take care of the body. We should eat on time. We should sleep on time. We should get up on time. So we should have regulated material life, but we should actually take take care of our spiritual needs so much more. Our priority should be our goal of creating how we can go to Krishna, why we came in this. So every soul should have these questions: why I came to this material world, what is my aim in the life, what is my goal. So these things, if we have, then our life will be great. And we should know very well that this everything is working under the control of Supreme Lord. We should know this all the time. Otherwise, we will think that everything is going on itself, and we can also have the material life and can get our aim of life. So people have different aims in this life. We can see how many materialistic people have different names, that okay, let me open this company, this company, this company. They keep opening new enterprises and try to make more and more money. But what will they will do? They have to leave everything in this material world, and ultimately have to go leave this material world and die again and take birth again. So everything, life after life, keep coming. So if we know our goal properly, and that we how we can get that goal, by hearing about Krishna and his devotees, that how the devotees, the the bhaktas, who dedicated their whole life in Krishna and how they meditated. So this teaches, Bhagavatam actually teaches us by giving different examples of Prahlad Maharaj, Kunti Devi, Dhruva Maharaj, uh, King Parikshit, Yudhishthir Maharaj. So there are so many different examples. And so by different examples, we can learn a great lesson that how these people achieved Lord Krishna at the end and what we should do. So if we know this, that's why this Vidur Mitra Samvad is so important. And they discussed about Lord, actually, Supreme Lord Krishna. So now we will start in few days, 3-4 more shlokas left in this chapter. Then we are going to start third chapter, and it's very nectarian, very good instructions in all those chapters. So I will end here. Thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any comment or questions, we can discuss it now. Hare Krishna. And if nobody has any question or comment, then we can end here.
I don't see any hands up.
All right, Mataji. Problem. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Anantapoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much,
Prabhuji,
Prabhu.
for the class.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.